Assalamu alaikum, dear students. We are going to read English book of class 6th, and here we are reading one of the topic, that is the shepherd's treasure. It is the folk tale uh, of chapter number 3rd. And in the previous lecture we discussed about the introduction of this lesson. It is the folk tale of a Persian shepherd, folktale of Persian, a shepherd who grazing the sheep or cattle in lived in Iran. He was very wise and intelligent, though he was uneducated in those days. But he became very famous in the whole kingdom, and the king heard about the shepherd's wisdom. The king decided to meet him in disguise. Disguise means appear in false identity, to hide the real identity. So, disguised as a shepherd and riding on a mule. Dear students, you may first open your book on page number 115, and we will read few lines. That is the third para of this lesson. From here we will read first of all. You will carefully listen these lines. Now we will start. Disguised as a shepherd and riding on a mule, one day the king came to the cave where the wise shepherd lived. As soon as the shepherd saw the traveler coming towards the cave, he rose to welcome him. He took the tired traveler inside the cave, gave him water to drink, and a share of his own meager meal. The king rested for the night in the cave, and was greatly impressed by the shepherd's hospitality and wise conversation. The shepherd was able to make out that his visitor was none other than the king. So, the king made the wise shepherd governor of a small district. Other governors became jealous of the new governor and called him dishonest. Though still tired, the king decided to depart the next morning. He said, Many thanks for your kindness to a poor traveler. I have a long way to go. Permit me to leave. Looking straight into the eyes of his guest, the shepherd replied, Thank you, your majesty, for paying me the compliment of a visit. The king was astonished as well as pleased. He indeed very wise. He thought to himself, I need people like him to work for me. And the king appointed this humble shepherd the governor of a small district. And these are the lines which will read, which we will read today. We will try to understand these lines. This folk tale is written by an Iranian folk tale. It is an Iranian folk tale, and it is translated into English language. So, disguised, as you already know, it is known as the false identity. Appearance in a false identity, not to show the real identity, to hide the real identity. So the king, when king visited to Shepherd, he goes in disgust and he riding on a mule. Mule means horse. So he riding on a mule in a disguised manner started to travel towards the shepherd's cave in a forest. One day the king came to the cave where the wise shepherd lived. As soon as the shepherd saw the traveler coming towards the cave, he rose to welcome him. So when he saw someone is coming towards the cave, the shepherd comes out from the cave and welcome to the traveler. He took the tired traveler inside the cave. Why he was tired? Because he was on mule from a long time and he crossed a long distance from his palace to the cave. So he took him inside the cave and gave him water to drink and share his own meager meal. Meager means a few. So the king rested for the night in the cave with the poor shepherd. But as you know that that the king was not in the real identity, in the real base as a king, but he visited to shepherd as an ordinary man. He was in a disguised manner. Disguised. So he spent a night here in the cave with the shepherd, and he was greatly impressed by the shepherd's hospitality and his wise conversation with the king. He also impressed by his behavior that he showed with the traveler. Though still tired, the king decided to depart the next morning. So in the next morning, the king wants to depart from the cave. He said, "Many thanks for your kindness to a poor traveler. I have a long way to go. Permit me to leave." So he gets permission from the shepherd to leave from the cave and told him that your kindness towards a poor traveler will be remembered. But looking into the straight eyes of the guest, the shepherd looking into the uh, eyes of the guest, and he thanked to him and told him, uh, "Thank you, your majesty, for paying me the compliment of a visit." So he understand that he was not an ordinary man but a king. So he thanked to the guest and told him that I am very thankful to spend a night with a poor man as, as a king. The king was astonished. Astonished means surprised that how he did know about me, but as well as he pleased means to become glad. He indeed very wise. Understand that this is not an ordinary shepherd, he is a wise, very clever man. He thought to himself. So he thought himself that I need like him to work for me. I need people like him to work for me. And the king appointed this humble shepherd to the governor of a small district. So this is the reward from the king to the towards the shepherd. So at this time the king, on the honesty of the shepherd and on the wisdom of the shepherd, he impressed and appointed the poor governor, the poor shepherd as the governor of a small district. So it is all about today. I hope that you understand it, these lines. Thank you for the next lecture. Thank you. Thank you.